Good morning, everyone. Kind of muggy out there, but we're going to have some fun in here, right? Yeah. So today for special, well, first of all, we want to thank Jen for stepping in last minute and on drums today. Yes, we haven't seen her in a while, but it's really great to have her back. And John's on bass today. I'm Brent, I'm on piano. And John and I are splitting special music today. We're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to trade back and forth. He's going to take the lead on one, I'll take the lead on the other, and it's going to be really fun. Next week, we've got a real big treat for special music. An old friend who's been here a couple times, Carol Arons, one of the voices of WMUK, our NPR station at Western Michigan University. And I think she's going to bring her box organ next week. She's the Irish flautist that I know we had a lot of fun with, and she's got some really cool tricks up her sleeve. So you want to come back and check that out next week. Let's get started. Brian, you're going to song me for us today, yeah? Awesome, cool. We're going to start with My Soul is Welcome Here. Why don't we stand up and sing? Great to have you here today.
The wonder that we are.
to show the world the joy we're worthy of. We're here to remind the world how much we're truly loved. We're here to remind the world how much we're truly loved.
Good morning. I'm Joe Daly. I'm your platform person for today. And I want to thank all of those that are helping today. Hospitality, ushers, script, bookstore, streaming, sound, PowerPoint, youth leaders, and of course the wonderful music team. And Brent, John, and Jen. It says something different on the script. Not your bad. So I'm going to go off script for a second here, Bob. So anybody see anything different that needs to be? Right. So Kent, could you raise your arm? So building and grounds, of course, primarily, but Kent takes the gold star for this one. So thank you, Kent. So if this is your first time joining us, there's a little yellow card like this in the pew pocket in front of you, and if you would be kind enough to fill that out, there's a small gift awaiting you, as well as our undying gratitude. So, announcements. Our series on sorry. Woosah. Aging is a spiritual practice, the wrap-up episode with Reverend Judy of Growing Older and Growing Wiser. And it's almost November, so that means the Bountiful Feast is coming up. And probably most of you have heard this story, but that's where I met Rhonda and Brian. So it's always a good thing. So I dragged the little basket over because we have one basket left to fill, and this one's partly full. But with an attitude of gratitude, we're collecting non-perishables and no glass or expired items to share with loaves and fishes. So bring your stuff on down. And so the Bountiful Feast requires leadership. And we're looking for 2 or 3 leaders to handle some things like set up, decorating, serving, and tear down, clean up. So if you'd like to do that, you can put your name down on the counter or contact the office. And the choir is rehearsing on Monday nights. We got 2 things coming up. One is Bountiful Feast Day, and then Christmas Eve. And, I knew there was something important. The annual meeting is today. So we're ready for that. Please stay after service. 15 minutes after the end of service is when we're going to come together for that. And we'll be doing some voting and hearing some reports and other good things like that. And, the last thing. Some people have been inadvertently deleted by constant comment from the e-zine email list. So if you're not getting the weekly email that keeps you up to date on what's going on, you may need to resubscribe. And I believe there's an email sent out to help you do that, or you can do it through the website. So, if you could please join me in our mission statement. As an all-inclusive community, we awaken to spirit, grow into our souls, and build a better world. Our vision: we celebrate a world of ever-awakening consciousness, abundance, peace, and love for all. Our core values: love, authenticity, stewardship, oneness, and playfulness. And our land and labor acknowledgement. Our spiritual community pays reverence and respect to all Black, Indigenous, and people of color whose lands and labor were forcibly taken. We pledge to actively dismantle racism, discrimination, and oppression in any form. And I don't see kids in the audience, but we're going to bless. So as you go your way, know that you are special and important to us.
Think about the love. Think about the goodness. Think about the grace that brought us through. For as high as the heavens above, so great is the measure of God's wondrous love. Great is the measure of God's wondrous love. Think about the love. Think about the goodness. Think about the grace that brought us through. For as high as the heavens above, so great is the measure of God's wondrous love. Great is the measure of God's wondrous love. Think about the love. Think about the goodness. Think about the grace that brought us through. For as high as the heavens above, so great is the measure of God's wondrous love. Great is the measure of God's wondrous love.
Good morning, everyone. Let's just take a moment to let the words and the music from that song just fill our hearts. Breathe that in, the love and the grace that's brought us through. And we use that just moment of settling and centering as we move into this time of prayer and reflection and meditation in our service. And so we begin that time with the reading of the daily word. And the word for today is imagination. I admire the storyteller's gift for creating fantastic worlds where impossible things happen. I immerse myself in the story, allowing myself to feel the wonder, the exhilaration, and even the sadness of the storyteller's imagination. No matter how scary the story, there is nothing to fear. It is only a story. My imagination helps me create my life story. Guided by divine wisdom and will, I imagine a positive, meaningful life. If disturbing thoughts cloud my imagination, I remember I am God's living expression. There is nothing to fear. My spiritual gifts of faith, love, strength, and understanding join with my imagination to build the fulfilling life my heart desires. And from Joel chapter 2, verse 28, I will pour out my spirit on all flesh. Your sons and your daughters shall prophesy, and your old men shall dream dreams, and your young men shall see visions. And our affirmation for today is, I imagine and create my most magnificent life. I'll say that once again and invite you to join me the third time through. I imagine and create my most magnificent life. Together. I imagine and create my most significant life, my most magnificent life. And so, just thinking about the imagination and all that it can do for us, especially when it's working hand in hand with some of our other 12 powers, like faith and love and strength and understanding. And it is the harmonic output of all of these things working together, inspired by our imagination, that creates for us that most magnificent life, the life we would love to live. And so if we think about the love, all of the love we have encountered along the way in this lifetime, the grace and the blessings that we have received, this ongoing soft landing, that divine energy and wisdom and light provides to us. It all brings us to the threshold of what's next, what's best, what is mine to do, how can I share my gifts. And so as we appreciate the beauty of this fall season, we celebrate the abundance of the harvest. And we give gratitude for the soft spring days and gentle summer evenings. We know that these cycles are part of the rhythm of life. And we are part of the rhythm of life. We are connected to the heartbeat of the universe, to the pulse of all living things. And all we need to do is to be calm and quiet and open to that presence, and then let our imagination go. When we seek that presence inside and know who we are and whose we are. We know that we are indeed unlimited, and it's only our imagination that could stop us short from an amazing life. And so we continuously imagine more for ourselves, coming from a place of gratitude for the love and for the grace, but knowing full well that everything is ours for the asking. And we'll see it when we believe it. So I invite you now just to take some time, a few moments in the quiet, and just simply open your heart to one amazing idea, one amazing transformation in your life, one amazing encounter. We may not know exactly what's going to happen next, but we can surely affirm that it is full of love and grace and beauty. And we take time now to just imagine what that could be. I invite you now to gently bring your thoughts and attention back to this room and to this space. And I want to leave you with an affirmation that you can repeat throughout the day. And I'd like to invite everyone to, let's just do this for a week and see what happens. So here's the affirmation that you can repeat. Today, something amazing is happening for me. Today, something amazing is happening for me. Let's say that together. Today, something amazing is happening for me. God bless you. And for all of this, we say, thank you, God. Amen.
So I'm going to use imagination a lot in setting this up because it works great. This is an old classical piece that I played in high school, and as Brent and I were talking when you were doing double bass or saxophone in high school, there is not a lot of classical repertoire for it. So as such, we had to use our imagination to get solo pieces that were worthy of our budding talents and stuff. So this one is, it's called Pavane pour un fante de fante by Maurice Ravel in 1899. And he wrote this originally for solo piano as he was studying in the French Conservatory with Gabriel Fauré. So, these are heavy hitter romantic people, which I guess in terms of the modern day, you would have to imagine that this would be like going on the road with Thursday, Thrice, Jimmy Eat World, all the emo and scene bands of the time. So, the title's a misnomer because in English it means pavane for a dying princess, which is not the case. Ravel, with many of his contemporaries, they were very into older stuff, and very much, especially with Bolero, Ravel was really big into Spanish monarchy. So he imagined that this would be something that a princess would have danced to in the 16th, 17th century. And so very flowing, very slow, and as we usually do it here, is just to throw the music to Brent and say, what do you think? He's like, let's give it a go and see how it happens. So here is Ravel's Pavane pour un fante de fante.
Well, I was getting a sensation of kind of like just a leaf falling, you know, or maybe just landing in a little stream and just kind of floating along and, you know, bumping here and, you know, moving along. And I'm trying really hard not to break that mood if in fact some of you have settled into that kind of quiet space as well. So good morning again. Welcome everyone. Welcome to those of you who are joining us online this morning. And today we are concluding the series I began at the start of the month, Aging as a Spiritual Practice. And if you remember from that first Sunday of the series, I confessed to you all that I was having a fair amount of angst and just unknown gunk, I guess, right around the time that I turned 70 back in June. So I was motivated to do this by my own discomfort, you know. And I've often shared with many of you, especially this past month, you know, that we teach what we need to learn. So it's been a very interesting journey for me, and I have to tell you, I'm not even sure exactly why, but I feel like way more better good now than I did when we started this whole thing. And so for what it's worth, I've learned a lot along the way, and I wanted to take just some time this morning to kind of recap some of the key concepts that we've been talking about as part of this series. So we started off by saying that aging is not the end of the road. In reality, it's just another stage of development that unfolds as part of this human experience. And if you shift your focus away from the very intense here and now and really come up and take the 10,000-foot perspective of what was and what always will be, then it's a little easier to know that this experience is just one of who knows how many adventures our souls have already experienced and will continue to experience. So, you know, we have to step back and kind of look at that long timeline that our soul's journey is about. And we started off by specifically looking at this stage of development as a process of making a shift from role to soul. And, you know, specifically the tipping point there for many of us has been, you know, retirement from whatever work that we were doing, paid or unpaid, and into a time of, you know, more time freedom and leisure and opportunities to explore other stuff. So that shift from role to soul, again, is just part of the process. And I used some information from Robert Brummett, who's a Unity professor. He was one of my professors at ministerial school and a Unity author. And he talks about a curriculum, if you will, for this shift of making the shift from role to soul. And he gave us a 4-step process. And in no particular order, there was a step called looking back, which is a process of harvesting our achievements and looking at our accomplishments, and also facing up to some of our regrets and disappointments. But it's primarily a way for us to say, you know, I think the world's a little better place for my being here and some of the things that I have done. He talked about looking forward and the importance of not hiding and denying the inevitability of death but to take a practical approach to it, like decluttering, getting rid of some of that stuff that you've been hanging on to for years. I have a very dear friend and colleague of mine who launched her decluttering 2 years ago. And when she first started this process, she shared with us that she found her very first paycheck stub in her files. It was like, I don't even want to ask you how old that is, because you told me you started working when you were 16. So, I think you can probably let that go, And Judy is very much like me. We tease each other about that all the time. We're those people who think if it's in a manila folder with a label on it, then it's good, and we need to keep it, and we need to have it. And it's like, no, we don't. No, we don't. So being practical about taking some steps to get ready for stuff. He talked about looking outward to find community and connections beyond those of our own immediate family, because so much of our life, in the initial stages is highly focused, on family and our immediate friends. And now we have an opportunity to go out and really kind of broaden our circles. And he also talked about looking inward to release some of our identifications and attachments to the human, social, and professional roles that we have all been involved in. And as we release that, to take the time and the energy to deepen our connection with our divine nature. We also had some fun talking about time awareness moments, those moments and markers and milestones that really do, all of a sudden, boom, make us fully aware of the passage of time. And I'm very pleased to share with you that I have really gotten over my time awareness resistance to LED light bulbs. Because at the end of the day, my commitment to reducing my carbon footprint, has overruled my resistance to paying more for light bulbs that I may not ever change. So that's okay, it's a good thing. Then we moved into the spiritual cafe, and we shared some thoughts with each other about the stages of aging that are described by Louis Richmond, who was a Zen Buddhist priest. And he wrote the book, Aging as a Spiritual Practice, a contemplative guide to growing older and wiser. And of course, I borrowed some of that for the titles of our series here. But he's been one of the resources that I've been using to prepare for these lessons. And he talks about the stages of aging as lightning strikes, coming to terms, adaptation, and appreciation. And lightning strikes, he defined those as moments when we truly wake up to the fact that, hey, I am getting older, and we can begin to see the full significance of that. And then once lightning strikes, our perspective really does begin to shift. And specifically around the subject of aging, when we have those lightning strike moments, what we begin to shift away from is this notion that we have an endless and unlimited future. So maybe we should spend a little time getting our priorities straight. People talk about having a bucket list, the things that they want to do while they still have time to do them. And that's one example of an output or an outcome of lightning strikes moments. We talked about some of the ones that are typical, things like when you have a son or daughter that gets married, the birth of a grandchild, a life-altering diagnosis can certainly be a lightning strike kind of a moment. Supporting an aged parent or an aging parent is probably a big one that many of us have been through or are experiencing. And he also reminds us that lightning strikes can occur multiple times. They can occur in quick succession. Sometimes we'll get one and we won't have another one for decades. But they do come along, and they are those moments when we kind of get at that, this is not going to go on forever. So what do I want to do about that? So he then talks about this idea of coming to terms with things. And really that's the time, the effort, and the support that's needed to get a grip on our psychological and emotional reactions to a lightning strike moment. And how we get a grip on that, how we wrap our heads around that, is different for everybody. It depends almost exclusively, I think, on the intensity of our desire to have things go back to the way they were. You know, to change what is happening here and now. And to get rid of all of this fear and angst I'm feeling as a result of that lightning strike moment. Adaptation is our willingness to let go of who or what we used to be and embrace the reality of who we are and where we are in life in this moment. So adaptation is that process of accepting what is happening now and what needs to happen or is likely to happen next. Now, my cancer diagnosis and treatment plan were shared with me in the very same appointment. I had gone in for a biopsy. My surgeon had the results of the biopsy. Got a phone call, can you come in and talk to the doc? Sure. Sure, of course, yes, I'll be there, all right? But 2 sentences to say, you know, the diagnosis is a malignancy, and 45 minutes to talk about, here's what's going to happen next. We're going to set you up with an oncologist, you know, we're going to set you up with a radiologist, you're going to get some treatments, you know, we're going to take a pause, then I'm going to do the surgery. And by the time I walked out of the office, I had the names, the appointments, the dates. It was all set. All happened in about a 1-hour period. And then aside from regular follow-up appointments after the treatment plan, everything for me was over in a period of about 90 days. From diagnosis to good margins, all over and done in 90 days, and then, again, follow-up appointments for a couple of years. I'll never forget the day that my oncologist said, well, you're probably going to die from getting run over by a bus before you're going to die from cancer. So, you know, I'll miss chatting with you, but, you know, live well and prosper. So, but, you know, I was very blessed. I was very fortunate. I had just an absolutely precious congregant in Madison, and her husband was diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's. It's a frontal lobal affliction, if I understand it correctly. He got that diagnosis in the late 50s and had already been experiencing some symptoms. He was a pharmacist, and he just recognized that something was going on with him, but he didn't know what it was. And so he made the decision to retire early before anything bad happened, really from a mistake in his work. And then they spent some time going through all the diagnosis and testing and finding specialists. But that all happened when he was in his late 50s. And he lived until he was 70 years old. So as a couple, their period of coming to terms happened fairly quickly in terms of some of the decisions that they made. But for her, for Catherine, her adaptation was ongoing during the remaining 10 years of his life. And so it's different for everyone. And finally, he talked about a stage called appreciation. a stage that invites us to recognize everything that has brought us to this moment, to celebrate the memories that give us joy, the people who have helped us along the way, and the accomplishments that we carry in our hearts. And last but not least, we took some time to explore age-related fears. And I think for me, what I quickly discovered, and I hope you recognized as well, is that the fears about physical and mental health, money, living arrangements, death, all of that, they are not unique to aging. They're fears that can be with us throughout life. So the only thing that really shifts as we get older is the probability of a couple of things coming together at one time or occurring simultaneously, because then that can get real challenging. But that's not that doesn't happen other times as well in life. We talked about fear, and we talked about the fact that even though fear is created in the mind, it is physical. It's physical because of the mind-body connection through the autonomic nervous system. And if we don't get a handle on fear, we can create some real challenging health problems for ourselves. And we also acknowledge that fear is a regular part of life. We can't eliminate it, we can't insulate ourselves against it, because it's hardwired into our brains as part of our survival mechanism. But even though we can't stop it from happening, we can stop ourselves from being consumed by it, right? So, one of the real benefits of getting older is the wisdom and the good judgment that comes from successfully navigating, the stormy seas that life brings to us on a regular basis. By the time we hit 50, we've had a lot of opportunities to work through stuff, to develop our coping skills, to develop some strategies for handling stress and problems when they come up. And you know what? We have many more tools in our toolkit that we can access because we've picked that stuff up through life and we've made those connections. But the most powerful tool in our toolkit is our realization that we are first and foremost spiritual beings having a human experience. And that's a big one because in early life, our connection to pure awareness, our transcendent self, it goes dormant. We lose track of that because we get so busy living life. As young adults, we're fully immersed in the challenges and rewards of the human experience. We're building our careers, we're creating our families, and each one of us is following our own unique demonstration of the hero's journey. As we move through life, we often wonder, what's behind all the striving? What's behind all this stress? We search for meaning in what we do and in what we have. But as we age, and we hear and respond to the call of our soul, we experience a shift in our center of gravity that takes us away from self-interest and striving and stress towards a broader perspective and deeper meanings in life. Our spiritual identity emerges from its dormant state, and we begin the process of reconnecting with that pure awareness of the absolute realm. This is the beauty of growing older and wiser, is to reawaken and rediscover that spiritual self. If we choose to experience aging as a spiritual practice, we are choosing the wholeness of our transcendent, universal self. Not just this here and now, but that timeline of what was and what will be. And as powerful as the mind-body connection is, the power of our realization that this incarnation is simply an extension of our existence in the absolute realm is unquantifiable. The power of knowing that this is just an extension of the pure beingness that we are is unquantifiable. When we are grounded in the absolute realm and the truth of our being, we know that we are divine energy, wisdom, power, love, and substance. Anything is possible for us. We are God expressing according to the exact pattern of our words, our thoughts, and our actions. And the moment that we bring our words, our thoughts, our actions, and our expectations up to the measure of God's love for us, we overcome our fears of illness, diminished capacity, limited resources, even death itself. When we bring ourselves up to the measure of God's love for us, we experience the wholeness of our transcendent self. And so I'm going to leave you this morning with a thought from one of the songs that we sang earlier. For as high as the heavens above, so great is the measure of God's wondrous love. Great is the measure of God's wondrous love. Be wise. Be amazed. Everything that has led us to this point will lift us to what's next. And the best is yet to be. God bless you.
Good morning. It says it is. This railing is amazing, Kent. I want to thank you again. And thank you for your wonderful message, Reverend Judy. I am Judy Carnago, a member of your board of trustees. Would those of you at home and those here in the sanctuary please join me in the board affirmation for the month. Life is a divine healing stream within my body, mind, and being. And now as you take out your tithes and offerings, please join me in the offertory blessing. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive.
Thank you. The word stirring comes to mind. So, sweet Spirit, we take this time to be aware and grateful of our many blessings. Our tithes and love offerings are given with gratitude and love for the church community in order that we may continue to be a path for spiritual living here in Kalamazoo. We thank all who have given today, throughout the week, and online. And we affirm that the Christ light continues to shine brightly in each of our hearts. And we lift special prayers for everyone who is suffering due to the unrest in the Ukraine and now in Israel, in Gaza, and in Maine. May peace come quickly for all involved, and may we all envision the power of love finally overtaking the love of power. Amen. So we're here at the end, and if you'd rise and join me for the prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. And now the peace song, and if you're comfortable, hold hands with a neighbor, and if not, hug yourself.